Greetings, folks from Granby. What happens, I went ahead and put on the Granby.xyz, Granby-mo.xyz webpage. This video dated from January 4th, 2017, in which Ira Hawkins, Lana Price, the city clerk, and the mayor of Granby, and the corrupt city council critters, Bill the butt licker Barrett, Joyce Mann, Ira Hawkins, and Travis Campbell had gotten their little heads together to prevent people from speaking freely at city council meetings by, filling out a bogus agenda sheet by which they used to forbid me to go ahead and speak. Later on, old crooked old Lana, she went ahead and got herself placed on the agenda to, increase her little feed store scam here. Folks, I would advise you not only not to vote for her husband, David the Meerkat Johnson Price, but to essentially boycott their stores so that they will hopefully sell out and move to Neosho or Joplin or Monette or wherever the heck they came from, because, hey, they believe that no price, no tax is too high to, quote, improve Granby. But anyway, I got a commenter from my brother, and I sort of think is probably some little young wigger called Captain Chaos, aka Sand Mamser or something like that. Sand Mamser. He says, sometimes, this is on the thing, you bring up some very valid points. Well, yeah, I sort of think is that Granby City Hall shouldn't be comprised like it has been in the past 30 years of a bunch of old crooks here who are making laws to benefit themselves, to go ahead and enrich themselves at the public expense. I sort of think that, hey, people ought to go ahead and speak, but more to the point, I believe, unlike, the Newton County News, aka Newton County Fake News, aka the Clinton Lamps, fake douche, who simply said, he pointed out correctly, that no one has ever gone to prison for violating the Missouri Sunshine Act. That's true. That's true. It's just simply, the pretense of democracy is just simply to let connected thieves go ahead and steal whatever they want. I'm going to go ahead and ask Skeeter whether or not Ira Hawkins had permission to put up his sign. But I think I'm going to go ahead and write, at the very other side here, is that the current city council are just nothing more than a pack of thieves, crooks, liars, cheats, and that's what they are. Every single one of them should go to prison. Travis Campbell, Ira Hawkins, Bill the Butt Licker Barrett, Senile Heifer, Joyce Mann, whatever. Chelsea Talbot. Her kids couldn't behave here, and essentially, I guess, that's common for the spawn of pig lice. But in any case here, the reason they should go to prison is that, hey, they don't believe in having open, free, fair, honest government. And what they do is that they have passed laws against the First Amendment. The city attorney, Jared Thomas, needs to go to prison. So does Lana Price. Shoot. If you're a bunch of thieves here and you're living off the public good, you should go to prison. Things that probably should be looked in when you present yourself the way you do and go off topic and constantly disrupt the meetings, you are not helping the city make any progress. Folks, that's what they go ahead. They say move forward. Now they want to go ahead and go back and essentially make you people in Granby go ahead and pay back all the stupid crap that's gone on for the past 30 years while they do exactly the same thing, of course, here. As far as progress, I don't think it's progress to go ahead and raise the gas rates, which essentially natural gas should be the fuel of choice because it is so common, it is so cheap in the United States here, and we are actually self-sufficient in it here. Natural gas should be used as opposed to imported oil. Natural gas should be encouraged, but no, it wasn't encouraged when essentially the current city council critters, Miss Piggy, went ahead and voted to raise the meter rate from $5 a month. They voted a 350% increase to $17.50. Now, I would believe in essentially raising it from $5 to $10, but under the current thing, that would be a decrease of $7.50 a month here. That would be more than adequate. But folks, I don't have a problem with using general funds to go ahead and prop up deficient departments. Folks, they don't want to go ahead and do that. They want to go ahead and build a brand new water system for the benefit of mythical new businesses. Look, there's two people in Granby. There's the old, the aged, and they're the ones who use natural gas the most here to heat their houses here. They're the ones who have older houses which need to be heated. So what happens is that what this Granby City Council's done is it's put a burden on the vast majority of you who are on a fixed income. That's what they've done. That's progress, according to this character and them. The others are the ones who work in Neosho, in Carthage, in Joplin, in Monette. And folks, they live in Granby because living in Granby is cheap. But when living in Granby is not cheap here, they're going to move out. I talked to a neighbor. He's going to move out of Granby. He's going to sell his house. He's going to go ahead and move to live between Neosho and Joplin. He has a job in Neosho. His wife has a job in Joplin. They're moving out. So essentially the young people, the ones with family, they're not going to move here. They're going to get that Granby is no longer a cheap place to live. So essentially all you'll have is just old people who are going to die out, and you have young people who are not going to come here because it costs so much. And that's progress. I disrupt the meetings by going ahead and pointing out their crooked crap. Folks, you need to vote Granby reform. As soon as you bring up personal beliefs of white supremacy and anti-Semitism, you completely null out the points you make. I wonder what would you do if you were actually elected, have a plan for a city and get rid of all the Jews and blacks from there. Laughable, ha ha. Well, the critter sounds like Harry Gardner. He was all annoyed because I went ahead, pointed out, and said, yes, I'm a racist, yes, I'm a white supremacist here. Well, folks, let me just point out, is you have not made black Negroes welcome here. I mean, Granby is not Detroit. They have Detroit. They have Atlanta, which are falling apart because, well, of Negroes. As far as Jews, why, hey, everything which is stealable has already been stolen by the current city council critters and the Styrus and Barry Flint. I mean, they don't leave enough for even the most philanthropic, open-handed Jew to steal here. I mean, between Barry Flint, the Styrus, the current city council critters, they've already stolen everything they possibly can using the government. I mean, heck, it ain't like this is Tel Aviv. I'm not running for mayor of Tel Aviv. I'm running for mayor of Granby. I don't know. Well, that's what I like here about young, inbred Wiggers here. They're so retarded and they think they're so smart. Then you might have a chance to actually bring good change to the city. To the city. Folks, I don't want to bring any change to the city. I like Granby the way it is. Every time I hear a council critter or a mayor talk about zoning and higher property values, it means that they are looking to raise the property value so they can sell out to whoever's stupid enough to come to Granby and then move somewhere else outside the city limits here. Whenever I talk to somebody who lives outside the city limits, say, oh, best thing I ever had here is I don't live in the city limits. I'm not going to go ahead and be annexed to the city limits here. And you wonder why Granby is dying? Folks, if the poor young people move out and the poor people die off, well, guess what? You're going to have a lower population, just like has happened with a lot of towns here. Folks, all I'm saying is let's pay off what we owe on the sewer. Let's go ahead and make natural gas inexpensive to operate. Let's pay off the final bond on that here. Let's go ahead and fix the city water system. You know, not put patch after patch after patch. And notice, Travis Gamble had his little wannabe election thing to tell people to what? You know, bring in a city water system, and crooked old Ira, who doesn't believe in allowing you, 975 of the registered voters, to have a say. Neither does Travis Gamble, neither does Bill the Butt Licker Barrett, neither does Senile Heifer Joyce Mann, and I'm calling names here, accurate names. Crooked old Ira, he doesn't want open government. He doesn't want you to go ahead and vote. That's why you need to vote for Tim Murphy. That's why you need to vote for Danny Bush, who I talked into running against crooked old Ira. That's why you need to vote for me. Folks, I'm not going to go ahead and run out Negroes. I'm not going to go ahead and run out mythical Jews. I don't see a horde coming. What I see is the old people dying off, and I see the young people moving away. Go ahead and make Granby poorer and poorer and poorer, and then pretty soon the only ones that are going to live in here are Mexicans here. We're going to go ahead and work, go to Monette. No, folks. This is a good community now. It'll be a better one. Essentially, when we vote these crooks out of office and put in new people here, like Shannon Hazelwood, who says, let Granby be Granby. I think he disagrees with me about the water thing, but I'll point out to him there's no way to go ahead and give one rate to the poor elderly, and another rate here to the young who are on their way up with children. What happens is it's got to be one rate for all. And folks, this water project costs $3 to $5 million, which means that more than likely your water rates will triple. I heard that in Goodman what they do is that the water bill is $100 a month. Is that what you want? No, you can't afford that. What we need to do is pay off the gas bond. Then after that, everything's gravy here. We need to go ahead and fix the portions of the water system which need replacing slowly as we can afford it. And then if there's an emergency, we'll deal with it as it comes up. Folks, let's go ahead and get to where young white families here can move to Granby here. In June of 2015, the current city council voted against a young man, his wife, and his 7 white children moving in because they had a 7-year-old trailer house here. Why, folks, that's demographic gold here. And I knew that afterwards, after they did that, they had no intention of allowing people come in. No, it's to just simply make very flat and the Styron's Ridge here. No one's going to come to Granby here. They're not going to come to essentially a government with a bunch of liars and crooks and thieves and criminals getting their little heads together and make up a bunch of laws to benefit them. They're not going to do that. Folks, I urge you to by all means stay in Granby, keep Granby cheap, but as long as this current bunch here does what they do here, you just simply boycott their businesses. You boycott their business schemes here. Folks, Granby has inertia. Granby is not going to become a great clone in Neosho or Carthage or Joplin. Folks, as long as Neosho is Neosho and Joplin is Joplin and Carthage is Carthage and Monette is Monette here, as long as we let Granby be Granby, we can go ahead and prosper. We can prosper very, very, very well here. We can go ahead and prosper, have slow growth here as young people stay, to replace their parents' grandparents, and as new people realize that Granby is frugally managed, it's managed well. Essentially, any businesses who want to come in, they will pay their way, as opposed to having, quote, tax breaks which they harvest and then they'll run on out here. Folks, that is what we need in Granby. We need essentially good, solid, honest government. Honest, open government. Wherein whatever is decided, and if elected mayor and Granby reform people are elected, we're going to overturn corrupt rule number 815, to which was aimed at me, and for which I am going to be suing Granby. I'm going to have a lawsuit against Granby, but what I'm going to, and against the police department and the municipal judge, but what I'm asking against the city is I'm going to be asking for declaratory and injunctive relief, not any damages against Granby. And I'm going to go ahead and ask for personal damages against the current city council, and I'm going to ask that they be put into prison where they belong. Travis Campbell, he'll be gone. Lana Price, she will be fired. Jared Thomas, crooked attorney, he'll be fired. Pretty well all these criminals, essentially they will be gone or under prosecution, and folks, I don't see why Granby's insurance company should pay for criminal activity. It's one thing to go ahead and inadvertently do something which causes a cause of action. It's another thing to continually do the same old crooked thing. Finishing up here. Why don't you drop the childish personal insults here? Well, folks, I don't know. I think Bill the Butt Liquor Barrett sounds pretty apt here. As far as childish here, I mean, shoot, you're looking like a young whigger here with dreadlocks here. You want to talk about infantile behavior? It's probably the mayor's kid or something like that here. Who knows? Now, folks, as far as not wanting to be an elected official, this isn't my number one goal here. I'm not going to worry too much if Travis Campbell wins re-election here. The reason not here is that, hey, he's not going to go ahead and get away with whatever the heck he wants to, not with litigation, not with the fact that Granby isn't going to be able to pay for his schemes here. He's not going to go ahead and bring any new business here. Who wants to go ahead and move to essentially Whigger and Mogadishu? Who wants to go ahead and do that here? Folks, the feeling of Granby for the past 30 years is just a bunch of thieving inbreds who go ahead and get together and pull whatever crooked crap they want to pull. I've talked to Chief Jacob Kelly. I says, hey, you come into a snake pit here. You do know that, don't you? And he don't want to admit he's come into a snake pit. Well, that's another thing here. Granby City Police here will be dealt with the criminal element. It won't be running around threatening to throw people in jail for making fun of these thieving, criminals here who are on the city council here. As far as my lawsuits, folks, I am after those people. Judge Kevin Selby, Timothy Perigo, Greggy Stremmel, the entire Newton County Sheriff's Department, who went ahead and bought and sold my grandchildren like cattle, and then went ahead and tried to, drum up some bogus child molestation charges against me, and then sent me in a nut house where I was doped up, tortured, and had a bunch of teeth knocked out going there. As far as I'm concerned here, you don't want rule of law, that's fine by me here. Folks, I don't believe in rule of law either. I believe it's just a myth. Just like Just like old Chatterford Sexton Meerkat number 3 Hayworth said, is that no one's ever been arrested, no one's ever been jailed for violating the Missouri Sunshine Law. And I said, well, that's true. That's exactly true. None. Folks, let's not go ahead and pretend we believe in democracy. Let's not go ahead and pretend we believe in law. The criminals who run this thing, they believe this is, they are the criminals who run this thing. They can do whatever they want. Well, folks, what happens when there's somebody new in power? These criminals then are looking through, looking the 1,000-yard stare here. They're looking 1,000-yard stare through the news here, wondering how did things get the way they are. Or they're laying with their little heads down, waiting for the guillotine blade to just go ahead and come back down on them and their children, wondering how did things get that way? How did things get that way? Well, look, rule of law essentially is when everyone understands that law, everything is better when you do have rule of law. Everyone knows what's expected. There's not one rule for one and another rule for another. Essentially is the regime criminals who don't believe in rule of law. And folks, when I'm done here, I don't have a problem with essentially destroying the families of those who destroyed mine. That's the only way they can pay. They're not going to buy me off. Anyway, folks, I'm running pretty hard for Mayor Granby, and I don't think I'm going to win. But I do think that Shannon Hazelwood will win. I do think that Danny Bush will win. And I do think that Tim Murphy will win. And I think that essentially we can go ahead and have Granby run for the benefit of the old people who don't need their rates, natural gas or water or sewer bills raised. And we can also run it for the benefit of the young people who have jobs elsewhere and get them to stay here in Granby, because Granby will be inexpensively run. It will be run efficiently. It will be run inexpensively. It won't be run essentially to make a whole bunch of money for the Styrens or Barry Flint or any other crook here who got pulled on the city council. So anyway, that's what I want to go ahead and say on the 3rd of April, right around 20 minutes to 7. Folks, hope you vote for Granby Reform and not for crooked old Ira or any of the other critters here who don't go ahead make you poor. We need to go ahead and vote for Granby Reform. We need Granby Reform, and we need Granby Reform 30 years ago. Especially, we need it now. As far as progress is, I'm going to borrow from Shannon Hazelwood and say, let Granby be Granby. Granby has a tough population here who knows how it is here. Folks, if you want to go ahead and get rich here, in Neosho, you want to turn it into Neosho, go to Neosho. You want to turn it into Joplin, go to Joplin. You want to turn it into Carthage, go to Carthage. You want to turn it into Monette? Oh, please not. Go to Monette. If you want to let Granby be Granby, continue to live here in your senior years on your limited income. If you want to go ahead and be young and work in Neosho or Joplin or Carthage or Monette, and you live here because you can live for about half or 3/4 the price you can live in other towns here, by all means, go ahead and do it here. You can go ahead and put a trailer house in. You can go ahead and build that trailer house up. You can go ahead and live your life inexpensively in Granby. And as time goes on, and we end up having not a demographic decline, but we end up stabilizing and then growing slowly. All the other places here which are not well run, well, they'll either adapt or die. But under the current thing here, under the current situation where you have a bunch of crooks here who are sucking the life out of Granby and forcing the young people to move somewhere else, this town's going to go ahead and die, and it's going to go ahead and die quickly. these corrupt idiots get their way. So until later here, and hopefully you will take into mind the, quote, good points I have to make here. I'll see you later. Until then, hail victory.